Good afternoon to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our tropical weather outlook for October 10th, 2025. We are tracking two tropical storms today, Jerry and now Karen, which is actually a subtropical storm to be technical in the far northern Atlantic, and it formed from Invest 96L yesterday. Quite a surprising formation. I'm going to go over the latest on that. And of course, the latest on Jerry, and we're also going to go over potential flooding threat to the southwestern United States, which is beginning to build further, and that is being caused by something in the eastern Pacific, which I'll go over also later on. So we have quite a bit to go over today. Let's start off with the National Hurricane Center homepage with our two systems here, Tropical Storm Jerry and Subtropical Storm Karen in the far northern Atlantic here. I think Karen also broke the record for the farthest north forming system in the Atlantic Basin on record. So Karen even broke a record. Very fitting for the, at least, I guess it's a nice ring for the name Karen that a Karen was able to break a record. But we have Tropical Storm Jerry here in the southwestern Atlantic, just passing north of the Caribbean islands. Maximum sustained winds at 50 miles per hour. Minimum central pressure of 1,006 millibars, located at 20.2 north, 63.4 west, moving northwest at 16 miles per hour. And this is going to continue to move on off to the northwest and eventually start to turn to the north. And then this should turn back towards the east. And this will strengthen somewhat, although the National Hurricane Center no longer forecasts this to become a hurricane. But I will show you the National Hurricane Center track in a little bit. Here is Subtropical Storm Karen in the far northern Atlantic, 45 miles per hour. Minimum central pressure 998 millibars. And obviously, because of where this is, it's so far north, we won't really have to worry about any sort of impact to land whatsoever. So it's just, a storm that we can just watch from a distance twirl away. And this is located at 46.3 north. That is, again, the farthest north forming system on record, and that is Karen, 31.2 west, moving northeast at 13 miles per hour. Let's look at what's happening in the eastern Pacific. On the other hand, we have Priscilla, 45 miles per hour, 1,000 millibars, and I mentioned that we do have stuff in the eastern Pacific with that will have implications on weather in the southwestern United States, and that is because of Priscilla. Its moisture, or its remnant moisture, will bring lots of flooding rain, and gusty winds to the southwest, especially Arizona. And this is what typically happens with these systems in the eastern Pacific. Even if they don't make landfall in Mexico and bring direct impacts, their moisture can feed into a flooding threat in the southwest, and that is exactly what's going to happen with Priscilla as we head into the weekend. And I'll show you what the Weather Prediction Center flash flooding forecast is in a little bit. But there's also Raymond, and this is an interesting system. Maximum sustained winds right now at 60 miles per hour, minimum central pressure 998 millibars, and let me actually really quickly bring you back to the key messages here. There will be actually impacts felt in Mexico with Raymond, and there's also probably some impacts as well being felt from Priscilla, at least in the northwestern portion of Mexico with its moisture. But Raymond will actually bring tropical storm conditions to Mexico. There are tropical storm warnings in effect for the coast right now, and for the southern Baja Peninsula tip, there are tropical storm watches. And of course, the biggest threat, as always, is heavy rainfall. So keep in mind about this over the next several days here, and as we head into tomorrow and the weekend with Raymond. But probably not going to strengthen to a hurricane. 60 miles per hour is its current intensity right now, and looks like it's probably going to maybe stay that way. Let's actually see. I'm not even not even check the forecast. Yeah, National Hurricane Center, 60 miles per hour, and then it's gonna down strengthen from that point onward. Here's a satellite image of what's going on in the Atlantic right now, just to give you an idea of what are we tracking overall. We have obviously Jerry here, just north of the islands. a few tropical waves here in the Atlantic, and then lots of mid-latitude energy. And this is going to become a lot more prevalent as we are now starting to enter the fall and winter months. The mid-latitude starts getting much more active again. The subtropical jet becomes active. Obviously, we're going to start seeing these tropical waves die down. And probably by the time we get to sometime in November or December, we're gonna see the complete shut off of the tropical wave train, and that we won't be having any more waves come off of Africa, probably up until next year in May. But for now, we still have some wave action, and obviously we have Tropical Storm Jerry to go over. And this is actually Karen. I don't know why I got two satellite pictures of Karen, because I have two satellite pictures of Karen. Whatever. Let's actually bring up Jerry right now. Here's an up close shot of Jerry, and you can see definitely producing a lot of convection right now. But it is once again very, very disorganized. This storm absolutely pummeled by shear over the last several days, and it looks like it's not letting up right now. National Hurricane Center, I think by now, forecasted that maybe things would already start becoming more favorable, that this would try to intensify, but looks like it's not happened. In fact, it's still getting pummeled by shear, and there are some suggestions that this is very, very close to opening up into a low-level trough. And so maybe that might even happen, even though, as I'll show you here with the National Hurricane Center track, yes, it is going to move on to the north. And then eventually, as we head towards the end of the weekend into early next week, going to start taking a directional change towards the east. So it's at least forecast to last for at least 2 or 3 more days. But so if you look at the satellite here, you would think that that's not going to be the case. Regardless, though, yes, this is producing a lot of convective activity, especially on the southern front, and that obviously means lots of heavy rainfall for portions of the northern Caribbean islands, and that is the forecast here over the next several days. Large portions of the northern Caribbean islands, especially Barbuda here, and Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, and even Puerto Rico, going to see as much as 2 to 4 inches, and some places as high as half a foot of rain. And the Weather Prediction Center even says here potential for isolated areas of over half a foot of rain, and that is definitely going to cause flooding. And especially knowing the mountainous nature of some of these islands, maybe some mudslides, which are also pretty big hazards. So lots to keep in mind here with Jerry over the next several days, or at least today and tomorrow, as Jerry moves on off to the north. And then I guess as we progress into the weekend, conditions will get better and the rainfall will die down. On the mean hand, we also have Karen, which, as I said, formed yesterday, last night from Invest 96L, which was designated in the far northern Atlantic. And when I came on to you yesterday, I think Invest 96L was only at a 10% chance of development. Well, the National Hurricane Center very quickly released a special advisory, I think around yesterday afternoon, maybe around this time, or I think actually around 6 o'clock. They released a special advisory, not upgrading the system to Karen, but upgrading the chances to around 60 miles per hour. And then obviously they initiated the advisories on Subtropical Storm Karen last night at 11 o'clock. Now, as we can see with how Karen is doing today, definitely not doing as good as it was last night and this morning. Had a lot more convection with it, obviously, which is why it got designated, because it definitely looked like a entity that was, designatable. But now it's beginning to fade. You can see we had some convection here in the earlier frames, but now all of the deep convection with Karen is pretty much just about gone. And to be fair, it is in the far northern Atlantic. Sea surface temperatures are very, very cold here. um, um, at most 21, 22 degrees Celsius, but now it's starting to get farther north that it's probably leaving those sea surface temperatures as well. So this is going to be working with sea surface temperatures below 20 degrees Celsius, and obviously that is nowhere near conducive. Definitely for tropical activity, because for tropical activity we need at least 26 Celsius, but even for subtropical activity, which can handle somewhat lower sea surface temperatures, um, because obviously the dynamics of a subtropical system and a tropical system is slightly different. But even for subtropical systems, 20 degrees Celsius is very, very low. So this is going to continue to fade, and probably by tonight, Karen will be a remnant low and will be nothing much more than just a random area, random pop-up storm that we get from time to time in the Atlantic. And obviously, there will be the memes too with Karen, as there always is, that we'll probably see as well. But nothing much more to write home about Karen. But really quickly, looking at the Eastern Pacific, I mentioned to you we do have Priscilla, which is here in the northern portion of the satellite frame. Convection is still being produced with Priscilla, but obviously nothing organized, especially compared to how it looked several days ago when it was a hurricane. Now it's just kind of a shallow, convective, area. And obviously, this is going to bring rainfall to portions of the northern Baja and, of course, the southwestern coast of Mexico. But before that, we do also have Raymond 2, and this will also bring heavy rainfall to Mexico. And especially to central northwestern Mexico here in the Baja Peninsula. As I mentioned, there are tropical storm watches in effect, as we might get a landfall here from Raymond as we head into the weekend and into early next week. But especially for the United States, the main focus will be from Priscilla, because of the heavy rainfall from the remnant moisture. And yesterday, I showed you, or I think it was the day before, I showed you the flash flooding risk was at a slight percent chance. Well, now it is starting to grow, and the Weather Prediction Center now has a moderate chance for excessive rainfall for quite a decent portion of the southwest, portions of Utah, even portions of Arizona here, going to get a lot of heavy rainfall. And the flooding threat even extends into southwestern California, or southeastern Southern California, southern Nevada, and also portions of Utah and Colorado, and even a little bit of northern New Mexico here. So in general, the Southwest is going to get in on a lot of heavy rainfall. And it's, again, typical as we see with these systems here in the Eastern Pacific as they lift northward. Even as they turn post-tropical, the remnant energy gets trapped, gets sucked up into the southwestern United States, and often produces flash flooding risks, which is what we're going to see here play out as we head into the weekend. And this is actually in effect for tomorrow, which I believe is the highest threat day, if I'm not mistaken. So if you are in the southwestern United States, especially Arizona tomorrow, please keep in mind of the flooding threat that will be in effect for you guys. Now, to close off, let's look at the GFS and see what's going on beyond everything we have right now. And let's see what happens here in the next week or so on the GFS. We have Jerry, which I guess the GFS is showing will kind of resurrect itself, going from an area that is struggling quite a bit right now, and then the GFS eventually shows this strengthening as it moves northward towards the end of the weekend. So maybe a hurricane is still on the table for Jerry down the line, but obviously stays well off and away from the East Coast, stays out in the open Atlantic, and then eventually gets booted on off here to the Northeast, and maybe its remnants towards the end of next week end up impacting the Azores Islands. But in terms of impacts to us, something that will definitely be impacting us is this very large coastal low here. Will bring impacts to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, all the way up onto the Northeast, with very heavy rainfall, very gusty winds, even moderate, strong tropical storm force gusts possible for the Northeastern coastline. and that's going to happen as we head in towards the end of the weekend into early next week, and then eventually that moves on away as well. And the GFS is also showing some more development here, seemingly happen in the MDR. So looks like the deep tropic season is not done just yet. Maybe something else is going to produce. Not a surprise, especially because I've been talking about very warm sea surface temperature anomalies still in place through most of the Atlantic. And now we are obviously in La Nina conditions too, which the the Climate Prediction Center just announced yesterday, I believe. It was either yesterday or 2 days ago. The Climate Prediction Center from NOAA officially announced that we are in La Nina conditions, and obviously the combination of both of those things, we tend to have a pretty active hurricane season. I guess maybe not this year, but especially quite a bit of activity in the tropics in the late season. And it looks like maybe that still might be possible, at least looking at the GFS. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see. With that being said, I'm going to end it off for today's video. Hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with family and friends. And also, make sure to turn on the notification bell too so you can get videos the moment I upload them. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, I'll be back with more tomorrow.